Sekiro is not a rhythm game. It's become shorthand for both fans and detractors alike over the years to throw around what is essentially this buzzword-made phrase like it's gospel. But it's not. In fact, under general analysis, if you're not just looking at it in some extremely abstract way, it makes almost no sense at all. So let's analyze the ridiculousness of this statement. Before we do, though, I will say, if thinking of Sekito as a rhythm game helps you personally better contextualize Sekito's gameplay in your head, and it helps you personally when you are trying to get a grasp on the controls or how to deal with enemies or different things that are coming your way in the game's design, then that's perfectly fine. Of course that is. I would never take away from that, and it's perfectly valid if it helps you personally understand things in an abstract way that helps you perform better in a literal way. My specific qualm comes from people who use it as criticism in some buzzword fashion, or any hack who puts it in a video that they claimed was an analysis, when it obviously was just some half-regurgitated opinions. So fundamentally, why do people call Sekito a rhythm game? Well, I think you already have a general idea for it, since it's sort of understandable in an abstract sense, but let's explore it concretely. Sekito doesn't have music that informs or guides button presses. Music is almost no part of it whatsoever, except by coincidence. Instead, this rhythm refers to a more abstract idea with the rhythm of battle, and the sort of flow state in Sekito where there's a good groove to it all. All these words are mushy, they're subjective, they're hard to place, but I think most people who've played Sekito do obviously feel this. And that's mainly because the bosses have hosts of animations, some that can be baited out or easily predicted once you are familiar with their AI, but this is just the FromSoft boss formula. Still, the fact that you are never facing the exact sequence or even a mostly similar formula unless you're directly exploiting the AI, the fact that you are never facing the exact sequence or even a mostly similar sequence in a standard battle means that two of the most crucial elements of a rhythm game are entirely absent in Sekito, leaving only one core thing, and that is a large sequence of accurately timed button presses. But this is also true if you don't use summons in Souls games and play a melee build. Knowing when to time your rolls is, in an arguable sense, the same as knowing when to block or parry in Sekito. They're the same action, the same reaction. The primary difference is just that in Sekito, there are significantly more button checks at a much faster speed. Another thing is that other FromSoft games do offer summons. People sometimes use the rhythm game criticism to veil a subjective preference they have over actual measurable issue in Sekito's design, and that is build variety. I've seen it exercised many times that Sekito just gives you a sword and tells you to parry, 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 but no one complains about Dark Souls giving you a build that requires you to roll, 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 or in Bloodborne to dash, dash, dash. Normally, people point to the different ways that you can address the situation, like different hitboxes and animations for different weapons, or the inclusion of visceral attacks. But Sekito offers just as many animations, if not actually more, for people who've played the game, and in more nuanced situations through the countless equipable skill trees, most of which are pliable in almost all combat encounters, even with boss AIs being balanced with built-in weaknesses, like some bosses being more susceptible to posture damage, while others being more susceptible to health, and multiple varieties and scaling degrees on each of those scales for such. Not to mention, there's still stun and stun locking. Almost every prosthetic also has a natural advantage and disadvantage over different types of enemies or even some bosses, which have built-in, similarly smart ways to take advantage of them, like covering the ape with oil and setting them on fire, or like using the spear on the headless ape's second phase, to mention one specific boss example to minimize spoilers. Sekito gives you an abundance of different things to engage with in individual fights. On one hand, it becomes less replayable, as far more build variety is available on a single playthrough. But on the other hand, an individual playthrough of Sekito offers more battle variety, customization, and possibilities than any other FromSoft game in every single way aside from weapon hitboxes. So how is Sekito a rhythm game? It doesn't follow the music, the animations and attacks are dependent on AI that adapts to your own movements, like with all other Souls games. You have a variety of moves at your disposal for any smart and creative player, so there isn't one way to fight unless you also consider Souls a rhythm game for making you time your rolls, or Sekito a rhythm game for forcing you to hit your enemy. The only gap I see is actually a strength of the game. Aside from select grab attacks, which are a problem in all FromSoft games, Sekito offers the tightest, most consistent combat with the littlest margin for human error, and the littlest AI inconsistency of all FromSoft games. I should know. I've beaten the game over 200 times and actively sought out ways to bug and mess with the AIs here. A tight experience does not equate a game to rhythm mechanics. Sekito is only a rhythm game in that you need to follow a high amount of quickly incoming button presses accurately to win. High skill ceilings and low random factors does not make a game a rhythm game, and I hope that you can see how ridiculous, if not at least hypocritical it is, to place this label on Sekito while upholding other FromSoft titles as somehow separate, or better. And how patently stupid it is to claim analysis of a game while shooting this as a buzzword descriptor, and especially in a derogatory context. Sekito is not a rhythm game.